All right, welcome to Overcome Babylon. I'm your host, Abraham Ojeda, and yes, this is my studio for now. My house is currently under construction. My wife and I had built our custom dream home in the mountains. It was like kind of idyllic log cabin kind of a thing. It wasn't a log cabin, but it kind of had that feel in the inside anyway. But it was nice. But we sold it because we wanted to get further away from the city, especially with what's going on. So yes, this podcast will be focused on, kind of the whole survival prepping kind of ideas. But really the main focus is going to be on God and his power, the Most High Elohim, his power. Oh my God. I can't wait to kind of break some things down and just talk more about that. But before we can really dive into that and talk about overcoming Babylon, what is Babylon? Babylon was, yes, it was a physical empire in the 500s BC, 586 BC. They conquered the southern kingdom of Israel. Babylon was a thing, but it's the spiritual Babylon still exists, and there will be a reemergence of that Babylon system of totalitarianism and so forth in Mystery Babylon, Revelation 17, I think it is. But long story short, we're going to touch on that. We're also going to touch on Assyria and Assyria's role in what's going on in the world today. I think you're going to be shocked when I show you who Assyria, what Assyria really is, and how there's some prophecies happening right now and some stuff that a lot of people aren't aware of because they don't. Anyways, it's just not being taught. It's not being taught. It's Anyways, we're gonna touch on that. But before we can really touch on and get to this, the basically the spiritual high, right? The good stuff. I really want to basically just explain why. Why do a podcast? Why do another one of these things? Because I mean, there's a lot of people doing good work out there, and I was sad when Rob Skiba recently passed, and we're losing people too. But there are good podcasts out there. There's good information already being put out there. But the reason why it's now or never for me, and like it's so important for me to do this and to take my time, and is because it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy duty. So about a little over 2 years ago, it was in November 2019, and my life was a total wreck, man. Like, my life was a wreck. I pretty much hit rock bottom in a lot of ways, spiritually, emotionally, from the standpoint of money. I just was not happy, not content, rock bottom. Whew. And this was before COVID. In 2020. I mean, it was just a few months before it, in November of 2019. So, I mean, thank God that he intervened. But I hit rock bottom. And up to that point, I had been married 4 years. My wife and I had been going through some marriage counseling because I had some serious issues. I honestly am ashamed. I can't even go into all the details of myself. But suffice it to say, marriage was rocky, and after so many fights and so many blow-ups and so many just arguments, it's like I knew God had brought my wife to me because she was a believer, and it's beyond that. It's beyond that because she had like a similar childhood as me. Growing up, like, there's so many things that we just had in common. It's like there's no way that's coincidence. The way I met her and everything, like, I knew God brought us together. And I'm just like, why am I with this woman? Why, is she the source of my problem? Obviously she wasn't. I'm like, is it like you just get to a point where it's like I was such a miserable person inside that no one wanted to be around me, and I couldn't figure out why. And whether it's being super critical of people, never just being content, never being happy, never having enough, that's the human condition. We're all like that to a certain extent, but this was excessive. I had these voices in my head, always just this super negative self-talk, and I'm like, what is going on, man? Like, anyways, I in November 2019, I just hit a breaking point. In fact, my wife gave me an ultimatum the night before, and she was like, if you don't do something or something doesn't change, this is it. I'm out. I'm done. I can't do it. And I was like, yeah, I can't do it either. But I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, man, like, what do I do? Like, we're there building our house, and like we're sleeping on a mattress inside the house, just on the OSB floor. And I wake up early in the morning, early. It must have been like 4, and I think I had a flashlight just to be able to look at my Bible. I had my Bible with me, and I was like, I'm waking up early and I'm seeking God's face because I need something, and I need something now, man. I need something now. I need intervention, and I was so desperate. And so I went to the kitchen, and I got on my knees on the OSB subfloor. That's very uncomfortable. And just had my flashlight looking over some scriptures. I'm like, God, please just show me something, man. Like, I need something, Father. Like, I'm at my breaking point. This is it. I'm at my wit's end. Like, I might lose my marriage, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose more than that because I was just really unstable, really unhappy. Yeah, I was going to lose my marriage. I was going to lose more than that, though. I can tell you that, because my inner peace, when you don't have inner peace, man, it's just an open door for the devil to do whatever he wants. And I was just praying, and I was seeking God's face, and I opened my Bible to this one particular spot in Matthew, and I'm going to pull it up right now, Matthew chapter 4. And let me show you, so a little bit of background here. So Yeshua is his Hebrew name. He was led by the Holy Spirit, into the wilderness. He was tempted by the devil after being totally fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, no food, no water. The devil comes to him and starts tempting him with things like, hey, turn these stones into bread. Hey, throw yourself down from this tall building. And hey, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world. You just bow down and worship me. And every single time, Yeshua said, no. And he quoted from the first 5 books of the Bible, otherwise known as Torah. He quoted specific passages of scripture from Torah, which is something that if that's what the master used to fight off the devil, that's what we should be using. And that's what I use. But let me just fast forward. So once he passes the test, and he overcomes the devil's temptations, it says that he went to the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, okay? Specifically of those 2 tribes of Israel. And he starts teaching. But look what it says in verse 23 and 24. He's spreading good news, and he's healing every kind of disease and sickness. And this is from the Tree of Life version. It's not all versions versions aren't perfect. They're just translations. The best, obviously, is to go to the Hebrew Masoretic text and go to the Greek Septuagint. Without getting too geeky, though, and technical, Tree of Life version, and here was what it says in 24. News about him spread throughout all Syria, and they brought to him all the sick, those tormented by various diseases and afflictions, those plagued by demons, the epileptics, the paralyzed, and he healed them. And when I saw that verse, that little phrase, those plagued by demons, it completely jumped out at the page at me. Like, it was totally 3D. Like, this has only happened to me a few times in my life. It's happened, but it was just so profound. I was like, whoa, there's something there. I need to look into this. What does this mean? And I started to think about it just for a split second. I was like, is there something here that, and I had been a Christian, Protestant evangelical Christian, since my age, late, like 15, 16. I tried to be a serious, good, holy, really holy Christian. So I went to a Christian college, and it wasn't a seminary. Like, you could get a degree and you took Bible courses at the same time, which I thought was cool. And so I did that for 4 years, went to churches after that. I was always in church since pretty much age 15, 16, learning the Bible or just learning things about the Bible. Even if I was always learning something, trying to seek God, and had relapses, wasn't perfect, but I was growing, and I was trying to figure out, like, what does God require? What is his will for my life? And out of all those years, like 12 years at that point, yeah, I was like 12, 13 something years, like of being in churches, I was thinking to myself in this very moment, this morning on November 2019, is there something that I wasn't taught? Is there something that all these churches missed? Is there something that was not brought to my attention, that no one ever noticed, that no one ever cared about, no one ever bothered to really think about and consider? Is there something inside of me, Father, that is not pleasing to you? If there's a demon, if it is a demon or unclean spirit, I cast it out in the name of Yeshua right now. And I was never taught to pray like that. I promise you. I was never taught to pray like that. Ever. I know some church circles, like that's kind of normal. For me, it wasn't. That's something that I don't know how to explain it. I was like told to, and I did it right then and there, like within a split second, and I did. And I was like 5 seconds after I prayed that, I was like sitting there. I was like, what did I just pray? Like, that's kind of weird, man. Like, no one's ever. That's just weird. Like, did I just pray that? Like, I was kind of questioning whether or not I even prayed it. And all of a sudden, I literally felt a vibration in my chest, like a warm vibration and energy. And it started vibrating and vibrating. And it went up through my neck. And I'm like, oh my God. And it went up through my face. And it vibrated in my ears. And my eyes rolled back in my head. And I felt like a little sick. Like, I felt physically ill. Like, I wanted to throw up. And then just for a split second, all of a sudden something came out of my head. There's an energy that left my head. And I didn't even know what to think about it. I was like, what the heck was that? What? I was like, what? And I started praying. I was like, Father, was that you? What? And he's like, no. What did you just pray? And I was like, oh my gosh. It was a demon. I was demon possessed. I was possessed by a spirit that was influencing my thoughts, my patterns, my desires, my cravings, the cravings of my flesh, lust. I was tormented. I was plagued by a demon, and it was affecting my marriage. It was affecting my ability to make money. It was affecting my ability to be successful, to have relationships. And when I stopped to think about all this, I was like, no way. It's true. There is a God that sets people free. There is a God that heals people from their diseases, from their torments. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I was so taken back by this. As you can imagine, I was like, it's true. It's real. There is a God. I called upon the name of Yeshua and he was right there. Man didn't teach me to pray like that. Nobody ever taught me. They said that those gifts, the casting, the laying on of hands for the casting on demons, that was for the first century for some reason, and it stopped. That's what I was taught. That was done away with. That was over. I was like, oh my God, there is a God that heals, man. I gotta tell everybody. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it was so profound. My wife noticed a change in my behavior. I explained that to her and she's like, no way. And since then, my wife has been released from demon possession on the laying on of hands and anointing with oil. There's certain things that I'm like, oh, we should do this. But really when it comes down to it, it was a simple prayer. It was a simple revelation. And it was my having just a little mustard seed of faith, just a little mustard seed. And I was able to experience the power of God in my life. And I've never been the same person since then. I've never been a helpless, complete victim. I have not been that way. I know where my strength comes from. And that's why I'm telling you, overcoming Babylon, everybody wants to prep, everybody wants to do this or that, everybody wants to... There's so many people right now with what's going on in Ukraine. There's so many people talking about getting preps ready. And I'm like, man, There's a God out there that so many of us have heard of. We've heard about him with the hearing of the ear, but we haven't experienced him. And that's what this podcast is going to be dedicated to. It's going to be dedicated to experiencing God. Okay? In the description of this video, there's a link to my group. Join my Telegram group. Let's talk. If you want to be set free and you want someone to pray over you because you just need that extra boost. You can do it yourself, but if you need that extra boost from other people praying for you, let's see you delivered. So I'm going to drop a link in the description of this episode. Join my Telegram group. But there's so many of us that have heard of this living God of the Bible, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's so many of us that have heard, but we haven't experienced. And so I encourage you to experience this God. Make him yours. Make him your God. Make him your treasure. Make him your hiding place. Make him your prep. Prep starts with a relationship with God. Look what this says. James 4:7. Therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. That's New King James. Submitting to God is the first step. Then the devil's going to flee. So we're going to talk about in this show, how do you submit to God? It's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be fabulous. You're going to love it. I hope you are going to be super blessed by it. So stick around. Okay. 2 Timothy 1:7. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. What did the media and governments around the world collaborate to do for 2 years with COVID? Fear. Fear is probably the enemy's number one tool right now. Easy. It's an easy tool for him to use. With the media industrial complex, with all the pushing of narratives, from Ukraine to COVID and who knows what's next. But fear is overcome when you submit to God and the devil flees. It's a spirit. Fear is a spirit. That's why when you see some people walking on the street and they're wearing their mask still, people just don't even want to be friendly anymore. Strangers don't want to be friendly to each other. They don't want to shake hands, give a hug. It's because they have succumbed to the spirit of fear. There's a spirit of fear that's tormenting our people. And if that's you, let's set you free of it. Okay, Revelation 2:7. Okay, he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies, churches, congregations. To him who overcomes, I will give to eat from the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. My call to action today, this hour, is for us to overcome. My call to action is to submit to God and let's be overcomers. There are 7 promises in Revelation chapter 2. 7 promises for people to overcome. Who overcome this particular period of history that we're in right now. This very moment in history that we're in right now. There is a call to action. If you overcome, you will be blessed in this way, this way, this way. 7 different ways. And what I'm going to break down in this podcast, probably the next episode, is how close we are. We're already in the last days. Everybody knows that. But how close we are to seeing some huge prophetical events happening. They say there aren't any atheists in foxholes. I'm going to say that people are going to get huge chances to see God's glory very soon. And I have verifiable proof using the Bible, nothing but the Bible, to show you where we kind of are. A pretty good ballpark, pretty accurate ballpark of where we are in the last days. That's why Overcome Babylon was born. That's why Overcome Babylon is necessary. I'm trying to rally the troops here, okay? Just got a little bit of time. Got a little bit of strength. It's not a time to give up or get intimidated, but it's a time to double down. We serve a God that can do amazing wonders. And he promises protection for his people. He promises protection to those who follow him, who love him, who keep his commandments, and who hold the faith of Yeshua. And with that being said, there's so much more I can dive into. I don't want, I have limited time today. I don't want this to kind of go on too much. But I pray right now that God blesses you. I pray right now that God sets you free from demonic chains. I pray right now that God be with you and reveal himself to you. The God of the Bible, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In a new way, I pray he'd reveal himself to you. That's fresh. So that you can start to experience him, and he would no longer be just something that you heard about, but something and someone that you can know intimately. And when you call upon him, he answers your prayers right then and there. Our prayers are like incense. Let's make sure we're in prayer. I will catch you guys next time in the next episode of Overcome Babylon. Until then, be safe and be blessed. I hope you've been blessed by today's episode. If you could give me a like, drop a comment, share this content, or give me a 5-star rating, that would be great. And it would allow more people to hear this message. Whether you're watching on video sites like Rumble, BitChute, Brighteon, or listening in on the podcast, I'd love to know your thoughts and feedback. Also, make sure to visit overcomebabylon.com for more articles, reports, and other great info that I don't always have time to cover here in the podcast. All right, that's all I have for now. I'll see you next time.